Hello and welcome back to the Go Game Go channel, and Hammer Away is back. Sorry about the last week. It's been crazy, and you know what happens when it gets crazy. You got to stop doing something for a minute, right? Until you can do it right. Had a lot of things happening over the week and getting ready for the weekend. So we're back this week. I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is, as we can now correctly pronounce it, Shang Chi. So growing up, it was a big favorite of mine. And I will tell you why. I'll tell you how it all started. It won't take too long because I want to talk about a couple of CD releases that I got, a book that I received recently, and a couple of upcoming guests that are going to be here. So I'm going to jump ahead where I was. So Shang Chi. Let me just jump ahead to this cover. So if you, I don't know, if you're not familiar with Shang Chi from the past, then this was the first comic of him I ever had. Let me tell you a little bit of background on this one. This was, obviously, it's issue 31, but there weren't 31 issues of Master of Kung Fu at this point. There was, it all started in special Marvel edition number 15 and 16. Then in 17, that's when it jumped away from that series and just became the Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. See, even I still have problems because I've been saying it differently since I was a kid. So a little bit of background on this issue. You can already see why. I want to make sure that I get the year correct on this, because this was 1975 when this hit the stands in 1975. We were on a family trip, a holiday trip. We stopped at a gas station. I went in, checked out the magazines on the rack, and this little gem was right there on the rack, and it looked so cool. I mean, you can see how cool it looks. I'm just looking at it going, whoa, there's this Kung Fu guy, and there's this massive machine coming at him, and there's a woman in the background with a whip. I'm like, what is going on? And when you look inside, the artwork was incredible. It's done by Paul Galassi, and I'll get into some details here with you. Again, this is issue 31, and let's see here. It has a supporting characters are Blackjack Tar, Clive Reston, Sir Dennis Nayland Smith, and Dr. Petrie. These are people that you don't even know. We'll get into that in a minute. So antagonists are Carlton Velcro, Pavane, and Razor Fist. And then other characters, there's Clive Reston's father and Clive Reston's great uncle. He's a really cool character. Locations are France, Gulf of Lion, Velcro's Fortress, and Marseille is mentioned. Here's a synopsis. Shang-Chi, Blackjack Tar, and Clive Reston have found Carlton Velcro's arsenal of nuclear missiles, unarmed and perched on a ledge in the cave under Velcro's fortress. Reston wants to go after the missiles. Tar only wants to find a way out. Shang-Chi, sorry. I see it's tough for me, you know? Okay. Shang-Chi finds a rope and secures it to an outcrop for the others. He dives off the ledge, knocks a soldier off the dock, and lands in the water. The really cool part about that was the soldier that's below is lighting a cigarette, and he's got a nice fat, lighter, metal lighter, and he lights it. And as he closes it, he looks, and you see a reflection of Shang-Chi coming down off of that cliff, ready to whap him. So that's how it happens, and lands in the water. Tar and Reston follow via the rope, and they fight their way to the tank and get inside. Tar drives it to a platform which takes them up to the fortress. So that's how it starts off. The way I always describe Shang-Chi back in the day when I first got this, and then the subsequent issues after that, it's like, if you like James Bond or a cool espionage spy film, marry that, because it's like MI6, right? That's who Reston and Tar work for, is MI6. So marry that spy flick with the coolest kung fu movie, you got Shang-Chi. And this was the first issue. Back then I was like, I don't know how to say it, because I knew there was the word, the city, the word Shanghai. So I thought maybe that's how you would pronounce it. So I was always saying Shanghai when I was a kid. Then I gave in and I was like, Shang-Chi. Okay, I'll go with Shang-Chi. That makes sense. And now, just like recently when I listened to an interview or watched an interview with a member of BTO on a Canadian talk show, he introduced him as Randy Bachman. So here I think of my childhood of going, Bachman Turner Overdrive. Not a big deal. Just one of those things where you're like, great, I was saying it wrong all the time. Kind of like the whole thing with Peart, Peart. It's Peart. But, all these years, who knows how to say it. So anyway, I really got into it. I really enjoyed Paul Gulacy's artwork in these books. It was so anatomically cool. Had some great lines in this issue. The inking is done by Dan Atkins. The cover art was Gil Kane and Dan Atkins as well. Len Wein, who many people have seen associated with other Marvel movies in the past, was the editor-in-chief at the time. Doug Moench, who did all of these different writings of Shang-Chi back in the day, did that and worked with Paul Gulacy on other things as well, like Six from Sirius. They had 2 series of that. And I think, let's see, the colorist was Janice Cohen. Letterer was Karen Amantio. And the editor, of course, was Len Wein. So this was my first comic, Master of Kung Fu. Now, here's where it all started. This is issue 15. And then we can move along into some of the giant size stuff. These books were brilliant. I loved these books because they were so cool. Really, really cool. Now, there's been talk about, and I know I'm kind of getting, it's a little jumbly here, but that's okay. In future things, I guess they're going to possibly team Iron Fist up with Shang-Chi, which would be really cool. And here's one. This is from 1976, I believe, was the king size annual Master of Kung Fu. So hopefully they'll team them up, because I wasn't uber impressed with the series that they did. Just wasn't digging on it much. And there was no costume, no Iron Fist costume the whole time. So wasn't too thrilled about that. And the Defenders series, no good. Here is the very first issue of Master of Kung Fu when they broke away, because 15, 16 were special Marvel edition books. Then the first, Hands of Shang-Chi, I did it again, Master of Kung Fu, he fought against Blackjack Tar. He met up with Blackjack Tar. Now, who is drawn much bigger here than he really is in the rest of the comics. I mean, this is kind of crazy. He's like really big. Goes up against the Man-Thing 2 issues later, which now we'll talk about this a little bit. There's more mysticism about Man-Thing than there is about Shang-Chi. Okay. So just bear that in mind. All right. Here's issue 29. Now in here, there's a little bit of a mistake at the end of 29. Do you recognize the guy? This guy? You see his name at the bottom there. Razor Fist. There you go. He had 2 blades in the original series. So that is the first showing of Razor Fist. And then he's also in this issue. But at the end of this prior one, it says the next issue is Snowbuster, which is not true. That's issue 31. Gulf of Lions is that next issue is what, and here it says Pit of Lions, but on the inside it says Gulf of Lions. So yeah, there's another, I believe that's another Gil Kane right there. That cover is Gil Kane. So here we go. Now we're moving into this. There's my first one. It would continue to go on with great artwork by Galassi with other. This was an interesting series because they'd be in the middle of a big storyline, right? I'll just scoot over here a little bit in the big storyline, and then all of a sudden they'd have some side stories. Like I have one coming up here, I do believe. So this was another. Shockwave was another one of my favorite characters. Zarin is another one that was really cool throughout the series. And the cat, he was really cool too. He'd show up a few different times. Of course, Fu Manchu, that's whose hand that is. The father of Shang Chi in the comics. And here he's about ready to shoot him in his own father in issue 50. Then here's what I'm talking about. This was one of them like that. Issue 52, where it's Mayhem in Morocco. This was, if I remember correctly, this was in the midst of this big storyline. It was a whole series, and that issue number 50 was one of those issues in the storyline. And I remember they had this kind of interesting illustration of men carrying a casket. They had pallbearers in a casket, and the casket almost, if you look at it, it almost looked like a spider. Like the casket is the body of the spider, and the pallbearers are the legs. It was kind of interesting. Because I thought at first it was a spider. Wasn't a big fan of spiders. Still not. But, you know, they serve a purpose. Here's an issue here where Paul Galassi did the cover. Issue 64. Issue 67, same thing. This would end up being a piece of artwork in a poster book that I got too. This would be later on. Issue 89 here. The Dragons would be drawn by Mike Zeck. And anybody who knows some Punisher stuff, they had a 4-issue limited series of the Punisher. Mike Zeck was that artist. So if some of this looks familiar, that's why. Those book covers were awesome. I'm used to talking music all the time. I almost said album covers. And Mike Zeck did a great job. Here's issue number 100 with all the different kind of characters around. And then 105, look at that. Again, Razor Fist. What do you know about that? And then here was the final issue of the original Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. This was the final issue, number 125. It's a double issue, and I flipped out when that happened. During my time of buying Shang-Chi comics too, they would release these, the big, massive books that were a big, large issue. They had Superman versus Spider-Man in one of those, and there was a Conan one, Doctor Strange. I have that. There were holiday issues that were these. They were somewhere in the size of maybe 13 by 16, something like that. And this one had the trio of fighters there with the Tigers, all right, and Iron Fist. So there you go. Some separate stories, and sometimes they would cross over. Then I would just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Here's a cool old piece of artwork of Shang-Chi that this would show up in different pages and in different comic books and stuff, maybe in the letters page or something. Trying to remember who drew that. He had done a lot of the artwork and things. Nobody really touched Paul Galassi, but I'll tell you what, Mike Zeck did a brilliant job in those later years. He even brought about some of his camera angles that were similar to Paul Galassi's. Some of the short frames, frame after frame, or a bird's eye view, he brought those into play as well, which are in those earlier books. Then I would become reacquainted with Shang-Chi when they put out the Max series of books, and I would end up getting an issue of that, which Galassi's artwork had changed by then. Just get out there and check it out. it had changed over the years. I'm hoping that maybe I can get me an interview with him here. Here's some cool artwork from back in the day. This is previous to the movie stuff. So this dragon in the background is just an ornate piece. Didn't have anything to do with anything that was going on. Now, this is kind of the new stuff. This is new artwork that's built around the movie. There you go. That's the classic artwork behind him. Is from that first issue that he in which he appeared, that special Marvel edition, number 15. That's that artwork. Let's see if we can take another look at it here. Right there. Okay. So there you go. Now I got something interesting I'm going to tell you here in a couple of minutes. It just came about. Here's some really cool. I just thought this was worth showing because it's on my piece for tonight, my thumbnail, and it's just a very beautiful piece of artwork. This is really cool. This has Shang Chi and his father. And the one thing I need to look up here because I've forgotten, but I've forgotten the actor's name now that it's even playing Shang Chi. He's not somebody with whom I'm uber familiar. But this was a list of the songs, and I'm going to kind of go through the soundtrack. So when the movie was coming out, I have this huge love affair of the comics of Shang-Chi and I knew that they weren't going to be able to take Fu Manchu and go anywhere with that because they didn't own the rights anymore. So, and these days it's kind of looked on poorly. So they weren't going to use it. And I knew that. That was okay. It's perfectly fine. I know there's a lot of the universe that's changed from when I was growing up. So I'm okay with that. I was looking to be entertained. I was looking to like the character. I saw who was going to be playing Shang-Chi, and I didn't think he was the greatest choice. Born Distracted. We need a Shang Stew. Here we go. That's great. That is great. Thank you. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. It'd be a Viking version, right? So, I went in open-minded because I knew that they just weren't going to be doing the same thing. And when I say James Bond flick, I mean, they're still making James Bond. They have a brand new one coming out for which I closed my eyes when I was at the theater watching Shang-Chi. So there may be a couple of spoilers in here just ahead of time to let you know. When I was watching the movie, again, I thought that this actor who was playing him didn't fit my view. The gentleman who was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I thought would have been a great choice, but I don't know if he actually does. I don't know if he does martial arts. He might not even do a bunch of martial arts. I don't know. He did a little bit in the film, but they had his father up against a father figure, so that was cool. He had a sister, which they changed the name of the sister. I don't quite know why they had to change the name of the sister. I think it's Falo Sui, I think is her name. It's just probably completely butchering, but I'm sorry. I apologize. So it all was going along pretty well. I was really enjoying it. And then towards the end of the film, all of a sudden all of a sudden towards the end of the film, we're in Shang-Chi's Wakanda, let's just call it, because it's like a place that people don't know about. And there's a bunch of people just hanging out and being warriors and living their life and training and growing and farming and, doing what they need to do to survive there, which it's a wonderful culture there that they've got figured out. But then they get invaded, of course, and everything starts happening. But then there's demons and dragons, and this is all very different to me. So it just was kind of wild. Now, in the case of Awkwafina being a sidekick to Shang-Chi, I thought she was very well suited and played this role. That she was directed correctly, and a knockout job in this. I loved her in Crazy Rich Asians. Aliens, Crazy Rich Asians. Liked it a lot, and I liked her character in that. That was kind of my introduction to her, probably as it was for many people. But then when I saw Raya, The Last Dragon, I just I thought it was a little over the top. I just didn't agree with the choice, which is fine. That's my opinion. Everybody else can like what they like. That's what we do, people. We just like what we like, and that's okay. And so that was over the top. So when I saw her in this, I was, there's that little bit of me that's like, okay, don't overdo it. But she played it very well, and I thought that they made sure everything was reined in, and she was a lot of fun next to him doing all that stuff. So, but all in all, I was entertained by the film, and I tell people to go see the movie because I think they will love it. I think they will like it and have fun at it. It just wasn't what I just wasn't ready for it. So, but it's entertaining. Go out there and make your own decision. It's certainly what is not a bad film. That's for sure. It moves you along. Some of the pacing of the film got a little, whoop, it's like, here we are. And okay. Oh, this is fun. This is whoop. And now we're into this whole other thing that's happening. And like in a discussion with my son, we're like, yeah. And just all of a sudden there's demons and dragons and wait, whoa, what? But the 10 rings, that's all over the place. Now, I want to talk about the soundtrack a little bit. Because I was really disappointed in the soundtrack. Again, if you like it, there's a reason that I probably didn't love it, but a lot of these songs are forgettable. Diamond and Pearls is probably one of my favorites, I suppose, or one of them that I think is more memorable. But I was going through this, and one of my main issues is probably a song that I would like normally, just because it's got a hook to it and it's kind of good. But the problem is, it's a song. Why can't I find it here? Fire in the Sky, Anderson .Paak. It was at the end of the film. So here you see this kick-ass film, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's what they're going to do with Shang Chi. Okay. I can live with that. It's not bad. It's good. And, but then they come up with this song at the end of the show, and I'm like, this does nothing for me. This says nothing about this film. It doesn't ramp me up. It's not a good, rah tune. While those of us who always wait for the end of the credits, wait for the end of the credits. It's not cool at all to go with the film. I was like, huh? Why are you playing this? It has nothing to do with the feel of the film. It doesn't drive me. And so I tend to not even want to hear it. To say I like it, no. To say, is it likable? Sure. But when they threw it in that spot, I'm like, I can forget that song right now. Just the way the brain works sometimes, right? I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. It's just the way it is. So there was one other, what was the other track? DJ Snake, Run It, with Rick Ross and Rich Brian. I didn't mind that one as I was checking back through. And Warriors by Warren Hugh and Siri. So those were tracks that I thought were okay, but I just didn't dig all of the. I'm not a rap fan, but I do like it. I'm a rhythm guy, so of course I like There's rap that I do like, but these songs were they're nothing different than what's been put out on pop radio or whatever. They're just droning, and to me, they're just droning, and it's nothing special. But other than that, there was one other thing I wanted to say. I did notice that when I was talking about the gentleman who's playing Shang-Chi, he does kind of remind me more of the Mike Zeck days. He certainly doesn't remind me of Bruce Lee, which was really who Shang-Chi was modeled after. When you see some of the artwork in the comics, it's really kind of, it's totally different. But when Mike Zeck took over, he had more of a rounded look, sometimes a shorter chin, not such a tapered, pointed chin. So it was a little bit more like that. So check those out. Hey, yes, let's see. Is it true it didn't do well in China? I'm not sure. I'd love to look that up. Let's see if I can figure out a way to put that. How was Shang-Chi? And that would really be a telltale of that thing. How was Shang-Chi received in China with a mask? Shang-Chi may be banned from China for perceived insults, even as some Chinese viewers praise it. How about that? Wow. Should we read a little bit of that out? As the days stretch on without any word of a China release for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, there are increasingly slim odds that residents of the world's film market will get to see Marvel's Asian superhero on the big screen. Those odds have grown slimmer still after jingoistic social media users unearthed content featuring Shang-Chi star Simu Liu that they say insults China. In the country's current political accusations could potentially lead to the ban of the star. Wow. Not just the movie, the star. Holy crap. The expensive blockbuster he anchors and even future franchise films in which his character appears. The lack of a mainland release will be a sad result for Disney, which has so actively courted China for this film and paid tribute to aspects of its rich culture. The particular irony is that most Chinese viewers who have managed to actually see the film abroad or otherwise have deemed it unexpectedly good. In post-show online reflections, with some going so far as to call it the most respectful treatment of Chinese culture coming from Western production they have seen in years. Okay. Well, here's a statement from who? Many Chinese viewers discussed their appreciation that there had been so much Chinese dialogue. Shang-Chi's take on Chinese elements is so much better than that of Mulan, one wrote, although the Chinese accents of the American-born Chinese and Hong Kong stars was a bit hard to get through. They were done with sincerity. All right, so there you go. How about that? What's up, Blake? How's you doing? Yeah, I'm on a roll. The one thing that I haven't said is that this film is crap. So take it or leave it on that end. Yeah, there's no the only rock and roll dip in the pool was Hotel California. So, and that brought up a funny moment. That reminds that Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song and Thor, which was silly because they used it twice. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever said that on this show, but if you're a fan of Thor Ragnarok, I am a fan of Thor Ragnarok. I don't know if I can say it's my favorite Thor one. It's probably goes 1, 3, 2 is what it does. Because that second Thor movie was just not really good. It had some holes in it where I was like, why didn't they just do this? Those logic moments where you're like, why didn't Thor just do that real quick while he was there? Just, get the job done. But they didn't do it that way. But they played right in the beginning. He's imprisoned, and then he's fighting everybody, and they start in on Immigrant Song, and so you're like, that's kick ass. And then they use it again later in the film. I'm like, you have bands like Hammerfall, you have all kinds of different cool Viking-ish bands. Why don't you use that instead of the same song twice? Somebody got lazy as hell on that one. So yeah, that just really burned me on that. Whatever floats the Chinese boats there. Nice. Very good. Very good. So go out and see Shang-Chi. I mean, it's definitely a fun film. It's a different take. And my biggest thing is I'm just sad that it didn't bring any aspects of what I read over the years, except for the fact, again, he's got a problem with his dad, a dad who's trained him all through his lifetime to be a fighter and a assassin for the 10 Rings. So, and I have to say I enjoyed the 10 Rings as those rings, not like you'll learn more about rings later. But before I get off of this subject, last night I came home after rehearsal. My wife was watching what movie? She was watching Iron Man. And oddly enough, I stepped in when Obadiah Stane was having a meeting with one of the antagonists of the movie that held him prisoner while he made the suit. So he was showing Obadiah Stane the suit. And as they were walking in to view it, what did I see in the background? And I flipped out. I'm talking about Iron Man. You know how long ago Iron Man was, right? And when they talked about Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, I'm like, when did this come into play? What are we talking about? But there's a flag in that guy's place and Obadiah Stane walks right in, and I'm like, wait a minute. Look at that. There was a flag of the 10 Rings in the background. So do yourselves a favor, get Iron Man, either pop it out of your DVD collection, throw it in, and watch it, because she also told me that straight away in the beginning of the film, and this is going to be old news to tons of people who are more in than I am, who are like, oh yeah, the 10 Rings. Yeah. Okay. We're back to the 10 Rings. See, so when they see Shang-Chi, they're like, we're back to the 10 Rings. Whereas I'm like, the 10 Rings, what the heck are the 10 Rings? And then I watch the film, and then I see this logo, and then I happen to walk in at just the right time and see a baboon. And then she tells me that's one of the first things they were talking about in the movie. So, it's kind of trippy. It is really trippy. Oh, you know what? I didn't put any of this up there. You know what? Give us a like. How about that? And here's one for you. There you go. You can like and subscribe. Go to Go Game Go. Subscribe. I'd say hit the button here or there or here or whatever. But you know where the button is. Check out the button. So you can like, subscribe, get a notification, hit that bell, smack that bell, and like a hell's bell, right? Right, Blake? Yeah. So yeah, subscribe. But anyway, check out Iron Man. It's really a trip. Not doing too good. Oh, okay. That we'll leave that off. I'll just kind of, yeah. Wow. That's sad. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna come up out of there. All right. So anyway, that's where we are. So check out Iron Man. And then I guess just I'm going to have to rewatch and pay attention because these 10 ring things probably came up a lot more. There's probably a link you can go out there and say, where have the 10 rings come in and play in the movies? And then you'll flip out and go, wait, what? Let's move on, shall we? Shang Chi, have fun. I love the character. I loved the scenes in the movie. It was pretty good, but just not what I expected. And I don't know if he'll ever get in touch with MI6, blah, 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 those kind of things. So I ordered a couple of classic CDs recently, and these are the ones with extra tracks on them. I'll show you this one first because it came out before the other one. So Agents of Fortune, and it's got some extra tracks on it. Fire of Unknown Origin. It's got Sally, and then it's got a Don't Fear the Reaper, a different take on it. And is that Dance Night Away? Is that what that is? Wow. I hate when I can't read this stuff down here in the dark. So anyway, I was telling my brother recently, because he's the one that turned me on to Blue Oyster Cult all those years ago, that there was a time, I think it was when the Specters album came out, there was a piece in there that told you if you wanted the lyrics to their songs, you could send a self-addressed oh, wow. As Steve Martin once said, some people have a way with words and others, I don't know, not have way. I'm going to see if I can do this now. A self-addressed stamped envelope. That's the first time I ever said that. Right. And they would send you the lyrics. So what I sent, and it returned it was fat. It was a fat envelope. My envelope was stuffed with lyrics, and it was those green and white sheets of computer paper that had holes down both sides. They went, it was louder than anything whenever it printed. Had a bunch of sheets of those lyrics. Don't know if I still have those or not, because what I did was I converted them all, and I typeset them all in, printed them out on sheets, and put them with the CDs. Because I was always wondering what the heck, Horn Swoop Me Bungo Baby on Dog Sled on Ice. Horn Swoop Me Bungo Baby on Dog Sled on Ice. What does that mean? I don't know. I asked Eric Bloom that years ago. I was like, so tell me about some of these lyrics. He goes, I don't know. Those were written by Sandy Pearlman and Murray Krugman. So they didn't even write some of those lyrics. And so those were some of the weirdest ones. Really, really strange lyrics. But I got them all. The next one I got is the next album that came out after Don't Fear the Reaper on Agents of Fortune. They came out with Specters. I love this record. This is probably my favorite Blue Oyster Cult record. Definitely not Agents of Fortune. Agents of Fortune side A is brilliant. Love every song on that side A. Side B, it's a little not my favorite. Not that I hate it. It's got some good songs on it. Tattoo Vampire is kind of a silly, straight ahead tune, but not a bunch of my favorites. But this whole record has so many moods to it, and it just really goes well. It starts with Godzilla. I mean, come on, which was redone. I don't know I've forgotten now who redid it for this latest Godzilla film, but it's funny sitting next to somebody who's, so much younger and going, oh yeah, this is like, this is an old song. And they're like, no, I figured this was the first time. And you're like, no. 1977 Specters. But it's got Godzilla, Golden Age of Leather, which listen to Golden Age of Leather. I just listened to it recently. It's about a couple of biker gangs that it's about a whole group of bikers that got together for one last night together. And it's this whole big fight that happens in the desert with bikers. And And there's a part right in the middle where I've always felt that it sounded familiar to me, and I realized why. It reminds me of Good Vibrations by Beach Boys. Check out that song, Golden Age of Leather. Then it's got Death Valley Nights, which is really cool. It's got some great piano work in it. Searching for Celine, fun song. Fireworks, great song. Story driven. That's what I love about this record. There's a lot of stories on here. Are You Ready to Rock? Celestial the Queen, Going Through the Motions, I Love the Night, and the great ending. Talk about a story tune, Nosferatu. Then they had Night Flyer, which is good. Dial M for Murder, Please Hold is a kind of a goofy tune. And then a cover they did of Be My Baby by the Ronettes, right? So yeah, the extra tracks are okay. I wasn't uber impressed. They on Specters, they could have probably done Night Flyer and Dial M for Murder. I'd have been just fine. That would have been 2 extra songs. That's just fine. But it doesn't matter. It's beautifully remastered, and those songs are awesome. The ones from the regular record, so good. So good. Also, another thing that I ordered recently, and I'm looking forward to reading, like so many of my other books over there, is The Gospel According to Luke by Steve Lukather. And Paul Reese worked with him on this. So really eager. Got some cool color pictures and things in it. So check that out. I've heard great things about it, and always hear great things about him. So, what is this? Don't speak Blue Oyster Cult language like that. Can someone translate? There you go. Can someone translate that for me? Yeah, I'd like to have it translated myself. So it's kind of interesting. Just picked up Black Widow today for my wife's birthday, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Haven't seen that yet, so I saw Shang Chi before I saw that. So remember, it's Shang Chi and Bachman Turner Overdrive, just to get you on the right path to speaking correctly, and so you don't make those mistakes like you heard me make tonight. All right. So I think that's pretty much about it. We're looking forward. I've got to, once things are a little more tame, we'll be having Ron Keel on the show. Also, we'll be having Tony Stahl on the show, who is keyboardist extraordinaire. He's worked with a lot of different people, but is currently in Steel City. All right. So, and he still works on some other projects too. And a review probably of Cell 15 is coming up. And that is Robert Richardson from Hybrid Ice. I got those in the other day, and those are cool. Also, I'm looking to get this on video too for you guys to see. This is the Fuel for Life tour. This is the Turbo tour with Judas Priest. I put this thing together because I don't know if you can read this, but what this is Judas Priest. I'll read it to you. Meets Peoria fans live at the Peoria Civic Center, August 17th, 1986. That's when I met the band and asked my question backstage. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully, I'm hoping to be able to share that with you. And remember, Great Affairs. Check out the Great Affairs. This is 10 and 2. And this is the latest. Everybody moves and nobody gets hurt. Okay. So check out Great Affairs, especially if you're into that cool Americana rock, you like some Tom Petty, got some edge to it. It's really cool. Really fun stuff. Cell 15, check those out. It is really good prog rock. Now, the other big thing too is the brand new album from Wayward Sons from the UK. Remember, always when you're searching for them, put in UK because you have to get to the right one. All right. Their brand new album comes out in October. It's coming out in, I guess, a couple of weeks. All right. Check it out. Check out the songs that have come out, even the score. There's like 4 or 5 tracks that are out there on YouTube right now. They would love to come over here to the States, and I would love to have them here on tour over here. So let's get them some big buzz. Wayward Sons from the UK. Toby Jepson and the boys are ready to rock. They've been out. They're getting ready to do some more gigs. Check them out online. Check out their videos. They've got some videos from their second record, and you'll see me in the front row. Those were taken in, give me just a second. Those videos were taken, it wasn't in Bristol. I think it was in, I know exactly where it was. It was in, it was in London. That's where it was. Yeah, London. So yeah, I'm down there in the front. What did we say last? I couldn't read that, Stuart. I can't read blurriness. Oh, I don't read blurriness either. Everything I look at is blurry without my glasses. So yeah, those are all great things. I'll be back next week. I'll either have an interview or we'll have a cool show coming. And over there, that is Richie is wow. Ricky Rackman, if anybody is a big Headbangers Ball fan from MTV, that is something that I got there in Nashville recently. So, zoinks. I love a zoinks. So, all right. Well, hey, everybody have a great rest of the week. And hopefully I'll be chiming in some more. I want to. I just got a lot on the plate right now, but it's okay. You all have lots on the plate. I know we all do. It's a crazy time with so much to do because we have so much we can do. But the main thing, just always remember, when you step out your door in the morning, you're in everybody else's world. They're not in yours. So be cool, because it really makes a difference how you talk to one another and how you treat one another. And let's not try to put anything on each other that's not really there just because of what we think. Okay? Just be cool. People are people. Just let them be human and treat them correctly. And sometimes they can learn to feel better and treat other people better. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's all just, I hope that doesn't all just sound like crap, but that's it. Thanks, Blakes. Thanks, Born Distracted. It's great seeing you guys here tonight. Thanks to everybody else who'll tune in now or later, and take it easy. Rock it. That is what I'm talking about.